This is one of those tunes from the 60s that every guitar player learned, and I had a special request for today, and I would love to share it with you. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu.
When I did the folk scene, it was in the bars, the early bars in the 60s, 70s. It was doing the Gordon Lightfoot. It was doing Joni Mitchell. It was that folk world that I just dove right into. The James Taylor, the Cat Stevens, the Beatles, and that's all I would be playing. The songs that I picked were not necessarily children's tunes. Like the first album had Ghost Riders in the Sky.
Oh yeah.
The Cat, the Cat Came Back is from 1896. So it's so the tunes were songs that I remembered from my childhood, but that weren't necessarily. Yeah, there were a few of those, but because it didn't really exist, prior to that. Specifically children's music wasn't a thing until, there were nursery rhymes, Mother Goose stuff, but it didn't really focus into a generation until the mid-70s when Raffi, Sharon Wilson-Bram, and myself, we became the triptych there who really focused in on doing music for families, and then it just blossomed for all of us.
Celebrate being a dreamer, celebrate being real, celebrate being good friends, telling each other how you feel. Celebrate being happy, celebrate being proud, celebrate being...
As long as the song has some integrity and both lyric and musical focus, that is offered to the child to, here's something to explore, go into that. But the bottom line with children, I believe, is they need to be nurtured for the basic rights. So you relate to them as beautiful, vulnerable entities who need love, who need honesty, who need food, who need shelter, who need the rights, the rights of the child. The United Nations world, that's the key that every child will relate to. And as long as you approach a child from my point of view, from that level of integrity, then they will be more than willing to connect with you. And so that's always been my understanding.
In South Australia I was born, heave away, haul away. South Australia around Cape Horn, we're bound for South Australia. Heave away, you rolling king, heave away, haul away, heave away, oh hear me sing, we're bound for South Australia.
The generation keeps rejuvenating. Those kids that I started playing with in the 70s and 80s, even pre-Fred Penner's Place, those kids are now grown into adults. And then I can't count the number of people who have come up to me and said, you were my childhood. I remember listening to you and watching you, and I love the message that you bring. So people have been really complimentary. So instead of this career, which often happens with a performer, it has a finite time. If you're just this, then it'll end at some point. But because the depth of connection that happens when you're working with a family audience, I am vulnerable, I hear the message that's coming on, and it finds a place inside of that child, inside of that human, that really holds on. So when they see me again, it's often with great emotion and tears and love, and so I continue to play, and I've done campuses across the country from coast to coast, playing bar night, starting at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, and doing essentially the same material that I would do in any family concert. They want to hear Sandwiches, they want to hear The Cat Came Back, but then I'll throw in a little Help from My Friends or some Cat Stevens stuff, so I mix it up. So it's very gratifying for me to know that the audience is staying with me, is supporting what I'm doing. So there really is I don't feel a downside. I feel so blessed and honored that I've been able to do this for 45 years of my life, Phil.
Come on, it's an oldie but a goodie. Sing it. When the red robin comes pop, pop, pop. On your own this time. Take it away. That's right. When the red red robin comes bob bobbing. Red robin comes bob bob.